I struggled with self-confidence to the point where I thought to myself, who would want to be with someone who can't even stand on his own 2 feet? There was a time where I let having a disability, cerebral palsy, let that embarrass me.
But I ended up trying to take my life. I was angry with God. I didn't want to live.
When the judge said 6 years, bro, man, she could have been like, psych, and let me out of jail right then and there, and I probably would have straightened up, though.
It's a dirty truth for Deante Young.
In high school, again, this goes back to one of my regrets was I had a, crush on a girl who was a grade ahead of me. I never asked her out. I struggled with self-confidence to the point where I thought to myself, who would want to be with someone who can't even stand on his own 2 feet? There was a time where I let having a disability, cerebral palsy, make me let that embarrass me, make me feel different. It's like, oh, I'm different. It's like I wanted to just blend in and be like everyone else. And high school graduation was my turning point where, as I was that night, I just realized that some of these kids I had gone to school with since preschool or kindergarten, I never really gave them the true chance to get to know me because I was always so trying to hide my disability so I could blend in. There was one memory from elementary school where I'm walking down the hall and then another kid goes, "Why do you walk funny?" Oh, wow. And I was at the age, I knew I had a condition, but the term cerebral palsy wasn't exactly sticking in my 8-year-old mind, so it was just kind of like I sputtered out because I do. I struggled with self-confidence to the point where I thought to myself, who would want to be with someone who can't even stand on his own 2 feet? And so I just so in short, as I got older, there's an interest in dating, and yes, having cerebral palsy and a disability, I let get to me and, affect my confidence and, self-esteem.
If you could choose any type of energy to be around you, what would that energy be from other people?
Positive energy, ambitious energy, action. Actually, instead of ambitious, I think action-taking energy. I want to be around people who are like, let's go do this, or go do this, or go do that, and then actually do it. Like, it's ambitious people who say, I want to do this, this, and this. But it's an action taker who takes that first step, going back to like marathon. The idea to do a marathon for me came when I was reading a book, Someone Like Me by John W. Quinn. He also has cerebral palsy, and he served in the Navy for 20 years, despite his cerebral palsy. And with his, he had to lie to the Navy and be like, there's nothing wrong with me or anything, because otherwise he wouldn't have had the opportunity to serve. I mean, he passed their physical and everything, although he failed the first time. And then his recruiter was like, who fails the physical? It's all in his book, which I really recommend. But that was what motivated me to do a marathon. It wasn't until my friend, then I was like, well, I can only, the way I walk, the calluses on my feet, I have like my balance. Half a marathon is all I'm going to be able to do. And I did, so I did a half marathon my first half marathon in 2016. And then my friend James was like, well, when are you going to do the full marathon? And that's the kind of people I want to be around, because James kept asking, when are you going to do the full marathon? I finally was like, well, I'll do a full marathon if you do it with me. And he's like, okay. Next thing I know, I got a text that the race we agreed to do, that he had signed up for, just like out of the blue. And one day in June, I got the text, and I was like, okay, now this is serious.
When I think about Zach's story, I really, really admire the way that he has turned out as a man. He is a leader. and he was born with cerebral palsy, or shall I say cerebral palsy. He was born with cerebral palsy, and it was no fault of his own. It was just the way the genetics went. And what he's done is he's made the best of it. He's been transparent about how difficult it was going through school and feeling a certain level of self-consciousness, as anyone would. Him saying that how would someone want to go for a guy who can't even stand on his own 2 feet? These are all genuine things. So when he shares this, he's sharing it, and the people who are also in his position or some other disability position, they can relate to that, and they hear that, they internalize it, and they're able to say, this guy advocates for us. He gets how we feel. He gets our frustrations. He gets our range of emotions. Or there can be other people who don't even have his optimism or his enthusiasm or his zest for life. And they say, wow, I see that. I wish I can be that. I can aspire to be that. So Zach could actually use that in to his advantage and to the advantage of his clients. And even though Zach has already become an author, a multi-time author, and because he's a speaker and he is a very intelligent guy, he has not begun to really tap into the power that he has because of his story, his backstory. He's able to say, listen, I was just like all of you. I endured all the same things that you have and probably more, but I put myself out there. Now, I'm not saying that you have to, but I'm saying it's something that you have the right to and you should consider it. So, just me knowing Zach the past 3 years, I have seen a guy who is lacking in nothing. And I wish that I had a lot of his characteristics. And because his story is so resonant with a certain segment of the population, he could take this message all over the world. So if he were to sell his story, what that would look like would depend on how he wants to go about doing so. If he wants to go deeper or if he wants to be surface level. Quite frankly, I think that he should really be a coach, a consultant. He should create workshops, he should create courses, different types of live events to have people that are just like him, or even if they're experiencing something else. He does not have to serve only the cerebral palsy uh, the community. He can just, whoever is feeling like they are kind of left for dead or, forgotten, the downtrodden. And it's really just everything can be considered a disability, not just a specific one. And I believe that he has what it takes to turn his expertise, which in this case, his life, his experiences, his story, his backstory, turn it into a profitable business. But not because he wants to make it a business, but because he wants to make it a purpose. Use it as a purpose and also earn money because you're going to be able to do more for more people. But I also noticed that he talked about running marathons and just trying to overcome himself and how he likes when people are has that positive action taking energy. That means that that's all a part of his brand. He can sell that story. So when you look at it, like I said, your story is your most valuable asset. The uncomfortable version is scarier to share, but it will resonate with more people. And quite frankly, your story has many angles, and you can tell your story 100 different ways. And that's important. But what you want to do is you want to focus on the turning point moments. For Zach, a turning point moment is when he was trying to ask out the girl when he was in high school, and then he just was afraid to. Turning point moments when he realized he has power. That's one of his turning point moments. He has power above what he thought and above what other people might think of him. So, a powerful situation for Zach. And I believe Zach should really sell his story. Now, there was something that you did tell me that was really dark that happened when you were in the Navy. Talk about that.
I will. I was sleeping in my room. I had a roommate. I was sleeping in my room, and she had a boyfriend that was interested in me, and I didn't know that. He used her to get to me. So I'm in my room sleeping. It's late because I had a tour in the morning. So I went to bed early. I heard the door open, but I thought it was her. But it was her boyfriend.
Mm.
And he came in and got on top of me and raped me. Brutally raped me. Mentally, he messed me up. He messed up my career. I wanted to get out. I felt like the military did not protect me. It should never have happened to me. And I was only 21 years old. I had only been in 2 years. So, yeah, it was time for me to go. But I will share this because I want to share this because I know we don't have a lot of time. But I ended up trying to take my life. I planned it all out. I got the medication from the VA. I said, I'm going to order all these pills. And that's what I did. I ordered a bunch of pills because they kept giving me like 90-day supplies. So I was like, okay, I'm going to plan it out. So the one day the pills came, I said, you know what? I'm doing it today. My mom came. They called 911. They came in. They didn't know what I had taken. They didn't know if I took drugs. They didn't know what I took. So they took that needle that they stick in your heart, stuck it in my heart. And then they couldn't wake me up, so they had to rush me out of there. They cut my shirt open to, get to my heart. And then once they couldn't even bring the stretcher in the apartment. It was so small. So once they did that, they got me to the hospital. They said, you know what? You guys might as well come say goodbye to her because she's never going to wake up. And if she does, she's going to be a vegetable or she's never going to be the same, is what the doctors told my family. My mom begged the doctors for 3 days not to pull the plug on me because they told them the first day that they might as well pull the plug on me. But my mom was my next of kin, so she said, no, don't do it. Give her a chance. And that's what they did. So on that third day when I woke up, I was angry with God. I said, God, why did you wake me up? Why? Why? I don't deserve this. I didn't want to live. I didn't think about my son. I thought about him, but I knew that he would be okay because my mom would take care of him. It was about me. I was hurting. I felt like a failure. I had got married. My marriage failed. Everything was just not going good. I was in a dark place. And then when I woke up and I asked him why, he said, because it's not your life to take. It's not. And
that's what God said.
That's what God said to me. That's what God said to me because I asked him. I was angry. I put everybody out the room. I said I don't want to see nobody. I put everybody out the room. They said, you know what? You ain't supposed to be here.
Do you have any idea as to what triggered you in the moment that you decided to do this, to actually go forward with trying to do it?
What triggered me was the rape. The stress of the post office, that job was stressing me out. I didn't want to go anymore. I was not happy in my life. My marriage had failed. I had been married in 2010. My marriage had failed. He left me and got somebody else pregnant, so that was a downer for me. I just felt like I wasn't worthy of living. Mm-hmm. I just felt I didn't want to live. Yeah.
Now, I know that, you have this very, very horrific situation happened with you regarding your mom.
Yes.
And that's something that really, really touches me because my mom is such an amazing mom. So, tell us about the situation with your mom.
Okay. Well, my mom was a very beautiful woman, like myself. I look just like her. With my glasses on, I look just like my mom. Out of all my sisters, 4 of us, 4 girls. And out of all of the girls, I looked the most like my mom. So what happened was she had been texting me. She had been staying with me actually for 7 months, and I would go to her apartment. She had her apartment, but she was staying with me. And she was, she had mental issues as well. I do. She did. So she was texting me, I don't want to be alone. So I was like, well, just come over here, So she came over and watched the Cavs game. It was a Cavs game. I never will forget. It was a Tuesday. It was a Cavs game on, and we made tacos. We had made turkey tacos. And she said, it was weird because she was saying goodbye to me. That was it was her way of saying goodbye because I wasn't feeling too well after we ate. So I went upstairs and I didn't have sheets on my bed because I was washing them. So she actually came upstairs and laid beside me on my bed, and she had like OCD type stuff where she normally wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So when she did it, it was like she was just staring at me, and I'm like, "What's wrong, Ma?" And she didn't say anything. She just stared at me. So that night she went home. This particular night she went home. That was Tuesday. On Friday I got this like really eerie feeling something wasn't right. So we text back and forth. I even got her a phone to make sure that she's able to talk to me because her other phone was acting up. So I bought her a phone. And I kept texting. I said, "What's going on? You okay?" I said, "You need anything?" She was like, "No, I'm okay." She's like, "But do you know I love you? Just always remember I love you." And I'm like, "I love you too." So me and my son, like I said, I got this eerie feeling. So me and my son went to her house, and she wasn't answering the door. So we didn't get into the apartment. She was answering the buzzer, that you ring downstairs.
Yeah.
So we buzzed another apartment and was able to get in. So she had this little knob lock on. You can't like turn the knob because it's like a lock on there. So to keep from opening her door. So I called the police because then I got worried because she wasn't opening the door. So they came. They came in about 15 minutes. They came a little later, and he asked me to leave. He said, "I need you to go downstairs." So when they came upstairs, the door was open. She had opened the door, and he came out of the apartment. He came downstairs, and he said, "I need to talk to you." I said, "What's going on?" And he was like, "She's expired."
So between your suicide attempt and her successful suicide attempt, it's like just such a dark cloud on the family because it's so heartbreaking to the highest level that it's almost incalculable just how heartbreaking. From both of those incidents, what would you give as advice for someone that is in that dark place based on your experiences with yourself and with her to get them to hopefully not make that decision or go through with it?
I would say talk to someone. Don't hold it in like we did. I held it in. Nobody knew what I was doing because I didn't tell nobody. I didn't talk to nobody and tell them how I was feeling unloved, unwanted, dark in a dark place. If I had to talk to somebody, I probably wouldn't have did what I did. But I had a lot of people like hurt my feelings and tell me, "Well, that's a coward way and that's weak and that's selfish," and they don't understand that hurt my feelings because I'm very sensitive, like my mom. But I would tell people if I had anything to say, pray, pray to God, talk to God. You don't have if you don't feel like you can talk to people or they won't understand, talk to God because it works. When I have those nights where I feel like I have suicidal thoughts sometimes to this day, but I pray and I tell God, take those thoughts away from me. The devil has been trying to take me for a long time, Deante, a very long time. But God got me. God ain't let me go nowhere.
Shonda was in the military, so she's a veteran. She also worked for the post office, and at one point she tried to commit suicide when she was a younger woman. She was married. That was a disastrous marriage. And then her mom is the one that saved her from committing suicide. Ironically, years later, her mother committed suicide, and it's been devastating to her ever since. So Shonda's story is extraordinarily powerful because it was it was delivered with such raw emotion. And Shonda, and I tell her this all the time, she has the power to uplift people because so many people, so many of us, we are in that dark place. And sometimes it gets to a place where we start, contemplating ending our life. She said that she didn't want to live. She was angry with God. Now think about how many people worldwide, especially African Americans that are younger from the statistics that I read, how many people would gravitate towards her because they just want to be heard. They want to have an advocate, someone that they feel understands their pain, their struggle, their journey. So by selling the story, not just telling the story, she would be able to not only up her game because she'd be more capable of doing a lot of things because now it's a business, but she's also going to be able to take it all over the place. Now, she doesn't want to make money from it. She can just have these events and she can do it free, but I don't see why she would because your story, specifically the most uncomfortable aspects of your backstory, is profitable. And it's not a money grab, but what it does is it helps you measure how many people you're serving. That's the only reason why Oprah is where she is, because she has shared her backstory time and time and time again to a point where so many people, mostly women, but a lot of guys, for a very long time, have been able to see themselves in her story and vice versa. So I really believe that Shonda could sell her story. And when I say sell it, I mean sell it as in having a book, same thing with Zach, and having online courses or workshops or online meetups of people who have experienced that or who are struggling with that. And even if you don't want to keep the money, you can donate that to some of these organizations that handle people with suicidal thoughts, anxiety, depression, and all of those different types of things. So selling your story means that not that you're selling it to a Hollywood screenwriter to make it into a movie. It means that you're selling your story on your own terms where you're turning it into a book. And then your book sells your course or your workshops or your training programs. And when you get that going, then it's going to lead to other opportunities. So you want to make your hardships and your dirty truth work for you, not against you. You want to make it pay you back for the pain that it caused you, but it also lifts you up because you had to learn how to figure out how to navigate that. And talking to Shonda then and even now, she is a woman who has a lot of hurt and a lot of pain in her life, in her history, and it's not automatically going to be gone. But she can speak persuasively to people, and her podcast did exactly that. Now imagine if she really took that to a whole nother level by selling her story.
My grandparents actually raised me in that neighborhood, so you know what I'm saying, that's pretty much where it all started. That's where I got a lot of my characteristics from, you know, a lot of my hustle from, a lot of my grit from, you feel me, just growing up in that neighborhood and around the people in that area. So they just pretty much instilled in me, you know what I'm saying, go to school, get a good education, you know, and get a job, you feel me? Like you know what I'm saying, back then it wasn't really I don't think a lot of that generation back then, like where I was from,
Yeah.
they really didn't have that entrepreneurial thing though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, once I got in my kind of my teenage years, kind of instilled in me, you know what I'm saying, to go out and just make your own route, you feel me?
You were in prison for a while?
Yeah, I did 6 years.
6 years. So what exactly happened to lead to that?
My father, he went to prison when I was 7 years old. He got he was like a big time drug dealer, and the feds came and picked him up when I was like 7 years old. Then my mother, you know, since she kind of lightweight, once he went to jail, she was like left to fend for us, and you know what I'm saying, the streets kind of swallowed her up at the time though, so she got addicted to drugs, and that's what my grandparents and them had pretty much raised me, you know, for the majority of my life. But then my mother, she kind of got back on her feet, you know what I'm saying, later on we was kind of like teenagers, like 16, you know,
Yeah.
and she took back custody of us, and she had got married, and we was you know what I'm saying, living the life that any, you know what I'm saying, normal family would probably live. But my stepfather, her husband, had got sick, and he wound up, you know what I'm saying, passing, and I guess it kind of like took her down that path again. And so when she went down that path, like I say, it was me, my sister, my brother. Like we stay in this house with sometimes no water, no electricity, sometimes no heat, and it's like when you in this environment where you see everybody selling drugs and getting money, you think that's the route that you got to go, you know what I'm saying, to make it out. So I had this good friend named Nate. And I went to him one day because he was a younger kid, but he was kind of in the streets already. And I asked him, like, man, teach me how to hustle. You feel me? And I was always one of them kids that was good at kind of manipulating my surroundings to work for me, you know. So whatever I pretty much had to do, I pretty much adapted to it. You feel me? Like, and I wasn't doing no super street dude, but once they showed me the game, I was like, okay, it clicked. Like, okay, this what I'm gonna do, and I was just pretty much kind of good at, you know what I'm saying, making that stuff work for me.
Yeah.
So one thing led to another. First, it started off with the hustling, the weed. Then it went to the harder drugs. Then it ultimately went to like me, like stealing cars and stuff like that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask anybody from my hood that about Ed back in the day, like, man, that dude used to steal, man. You come down my street, probably 6-7 cars parked up on the street. You know what I'm saying? All stolen, ready to get stripped down. You know what I'm saying? I was only like 16, 17 years old doing that. You know what I'm saying? To make money. You feel me? And it went to that to robbing people though, you know what I'm saying? And a situation had happened where some guys had robbed me and I went back, you know what I'm saying, retaliate, and that's when I had ultimately caught the aggravated robbery felonious assault charge that landed me, you know what I'm saying, 6 years in prison. And I remember when I did get sent to the 6 years, I was sick, but I was one of them guys like, you know what, I'm a man up, you know what I'm saying? Like I brought this on myself, you feel me? I let a lot of people, I felt like I let a lot of people down. You know, especially my grandparents that raised me, because they ain't raised me to be the type of person I felt I had turned out. So that was one of my biggest regrets. And I used to pray to God, man, every day, like, man, if you just let me make it home to see my grandparents still living, you know what I'm saying, and let them see me, you know what I'm saying, put forth the effort to change my life. Like, I'm gonna do anything and everything that I got to keep that same energy. You feel me? And God blessed me to come home. You know what I'm saying? And my grandparents were still living. And my grandfather, he was actually on his deathbed when I came home, though. You know what I'm saying? I think he had passed like 3 months after I was out. But I remember I came home, I got me a job, you feel me? And I remember, like, whenever I got a chance, I would go to their house, you know? Yeah. And just hearing them, because it's like some people, they can sense, man, when you ain't just talking. Yeah. You feel me? And I think they sense that I was really about change. You feel me? And just to hear them say, like, I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? That was just like a lot of fuel for me to honestly, like, just keep going, man.
Did it take long for you to get to that point to kind of humble yourself, or was it instant?
Honestly, man, like, I tell people this day, everything I be joking, but I be like, man, when the judge said 6 years, bro, man, she could have been like, psych, and let me out of jail right then and there, and I probably would have straightened up, though. You know what I'm saying? Because when you facing that type of time, it's different, man. Like, your whole mental, like, and you gotta be strong, like, you feel me, to even go through anything like that. You feel me? That's why, like, I be seeing a lot of people be coming home and they don't really be the same, though. But I'm glad God just blessed me with a strong mentality to just go in there, you know what I'm saying, do what I had to do, you know what I'm saying, try to learn from everything and build on top of that.
Over the course of those 6 years, what exactly did you do to grow yourself as a person? Because you obviously found out that you were going down the wrong path. You didn't want to continue that. Some people come out and just get worse. You got better. What was that game plan behind the bars to say, you know what, I'm about to turn things around?
I think it's a lot of defining factors. Like, one, like some of the people that you meet in there, you know what I'm saying? You got some dudes that you meet that they done made them mistakes and they ain't never coming home. Mm-hmm. You feel me?
Yeah.
And you talk to these guys and you just feel like this, like, gut-wrenching, like, sickening feeling like, that this dude ain't never coming home. But I actually got a chance. You know what I'm saying? I got to take advantage of that chance. You feel me?
You went to prison. It was probably the worst experience you've ever had, or at least one of the worst experiences you had, being away from your family and just thinking about what could have been. And then you get out, you stay on the straight and narrow, you're relentless, you're determined, and then when the world is in an uproar because of COVID in 2020, that kind of became your flashpoint moment. That was the moment where you actually jumped out of your original self and evolved into something greater and bigger because of what you already endured.
Right.
What you endured was basically your dirty truth. You know how it is when you're trying to apply for a job. A lot of times you can't, as a felon or, you know, someone that's been behind bars, you get stigmatized. You somehow overcame all that, and a lot of that was because of your driving, because you had the mindset to say, you know what, let's not tell it like it was, let's tell it like it is. And right now, I'm ready to change my life. So that's really powerful. And so many people have your situation or worse, and they can't even make that a reality in their mind. So just the fact that you were able to come out and be brand new, you know how people say, "Oh, you acting brand new." They like it's a bad thing, but that's a good thing.
Oh, for sure.
Somebody say, "Oh, you acting brand new." Yes, I am.
No, most definitely.
Because I'm not out here doing these types of things because if you know better, you do better, and that was a transformational scenario and experience that you went through. So I give you kudos on that.
My credit first started rising. The first thing a person want to do is go out and buy something on their credit, man. Like, for me, when I first got my credit together, the first thing I did with my credit, I went out and bought my wife a car. You know what I'm saying? I was still driving in my little old, you know what I'm saying, my little old tow truck everywhere, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I just like want to make sure she was good though, like, you know what I'm saying. Plus she had deserved it anyway though. You feel me? You know what I'm saying, for staying down and them nights and just motivating me and telling me I got this, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? So like I want to get her together first. You know what I'm saying? I was so happy just doing that, just being able to just go into a dealership. You know what I'm saying, and just walk out with a new car.
Was that the white Mercedes Benz?
No, that was I had bought her an Infiniti, a Q60 Infiniti.
Q6. Oh wow.
That was the first car I had back. I bought her. Yep.
Wow.
And then she had because he wanted the Benz. We used to always talk about that Benz. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I knew at the time like I couldn't really afford the Benz. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, we gonna get something that we're gonna get you something raw though. You know what I'm saying? Then later on down the line we gonna get you the Benz. You feel me? So I had bought that car first, and I remember like she had that car for like a couple years, and I remember like, okay, it's time for me to upgrade. So I had when I got the car one day from her, I'm like, I gotta take this car, get an oil change, whatever the case may be. I drove it up to the Benz. I think it's Willoughby Benz, man. Went up there. I was like, I want to trade this in and get your new GLC 300 because that's the car my wife liked. So I was up there. I wasn't even up there that long, bro. They ran my credit and everything. They came back like, well, what color you want? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I want to go with the white one. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And I remember pulling up at the house with the Benz. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And like I was like, man, we was just feeling good, just doing stuff for the people that, you know what I'm saying, that really love you and really push you, man.
See, the thing that I see about you is that I guarantee you, and you know this better than anybody, a lot of people come up to you and say, hey, how can I do this? How can I be that? And what? But the thing that they are missing, I think most people, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they're missing the fact that you have patience, you have a game plan, you have focus, and you have commitment. And that's what takes you to the next level. Not, oh, I made this many videos or I did that. And those are the rare qualities that people just don't have. And when you do have them, it's like 1 in a billion.
No, you most definitely, bro. Like, I tell people all the time, like, man, like they be seeing what I had now, but I be like, man, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of consistency. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of planning. You know, and it takes a lot of faith.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because there's a lot of times where you don't really know what your next move gonna take you. You feel me? But you hop out there on faith and you try to just put the action behind it. You feel me?
Yeah. And speaking of faith, for those of you guys that don't know, the legendary Wayne Dawson is this guy's uncle.
No, for sure.
And he is, just the other day he was talking about how you pretty much you were a person of the church. You grew up in the church and things of that nature, and you just have those inspirational moments. And I love Mother Reed. She's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, she. I feel like nobody can sing like her. I wish they would let her join the choir because she's
right.
I love.
She loves to sing too.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But the great thing is, so you are actually part of what I consider to be the first family of Ohio, and you are really, really doing it great. Having said that, with Wayne being a pastor and you talking about faith, where does your faith come from, and what is your relationship with God? Because it all blends into what you've been able to accomplish.
Man, honestly, man, I think my faith comes from my grandparents, man. Cause like I said, when we was young, we was one of them families, bro. We ain't miss a Sunday like at church, like, you know what I'm saying. A Bible study, I don't care what it was. Like my grandmother had us in church. You feel me? It boils down. It can only be God. You feel me? You know, so. That's why I think a lot of my faith comes in that. And it's crazy you had brought up Wayne, man, because like Wayne, I don't think my auntie know how much they also fueled the fire in me when it comes to me standing on a straight and narrow and me, you know what I'm saying, being consistent though. You feel me? Because when we was younger and my mother was kind of in the streets, you know what I'm saying, I thank God, man, he brought her, my mother a testimony too. You know, because My mother was one of the mothers like you be like, man, but like, you ain't think she was gonna never like really, you know what I'm saying, change her life around though. You feel me? And to see what she has accomplished today, got her own house and driving a nice car and like stuff like that fuel me, man. Cause I be like, man, I be just praising God all the time though. Like, man, like it can only be you. You feel me?
At what point did the whole idea for going online? How did that manifest?
I started creating like little skits and stuff online. And it wasn't really going nowhere, but I just loved it doing it. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So fast forward, like once I had got my towing stuff off the ground, I wasn't even filming none of my towing content, period, though. I was still doing like little skits here and there, little funny stuff or whatever the case may be. But I was like, you know what? Once I get my new truck, I'm gonna put some cameras on it, and I'm gonna start filming myself doing my day-to-day towing and repoing stuff. And the first video I actually posted of me doing a repo went viral. We was on our way to Virginia Beach.
Wow.
And I had posted a video before we had left. And we on the freeway, my phone going crazy, man. Like, so everybody in the car looking at me like who is trying to contact you? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I don't know, my phone it's just getting going crazy the whole time. So we get to our first rest stop, so I look at my notifications, and it's the video that I had posted. And it was like 2 hours, and it was like at 70,000 views.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, what the? I'm like, this is crazy. So a few days went past and the video just keep going crazy. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna post another one. Just see like, cause I did another repo, but I never posted that one either. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna post that one a few days from now and see if I get the same reaction from it. Posted that video. That video did 1 million views the first day.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I got something here, man. I got something here. I'm like, I think this is my lane right here, And fast forward, man, a year and a half later, I done grew over close to 4 million subscribers and followers through all my platforms. You feel me? Just from me doing what I like to do. I ain't have a YouTube, I ain't have a Facebook, I ain't have a TikTok at the time. You feel me? All I had was an Instagram. So my videos going crazy, right? So a guy was like, man, you got a YouTube? I'm like, no. He like, bro. He like, don't post no more videos. Start a YouTube and start posting your videos on YouTube before like somebody else could be using your content. You know what I'm saying? And start posting your. So I'm like, all right, bet. Like that's a good idea. So mind you, I started me a YouTube page and I started looking at into like, okay, how do you either get paid or how you even so you had to meet these requirements. So I ain't even thinking that my page gonna even blow up that much. I'm thinking like, man, if I get to like 1,000 subscribers, I'm happy. So I post the video on YouTube get to going crazy, like the ones on Instagram, and my followers just going up, and I'm looking at them daily like, I'm almost at 1,000 followers in almost a day and a half. So I called my friend like, bro, I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers in a day and a half, man. I'm like, they about to monetize my page, like if I keep at this route. But I'm thinking in my head, like I keep telling myself it's gonna slow down, like it's gonna eventually slow down. It never slowed down, like you know what I'm saying. Before you know it, I was at 10,000 by the end of the week. Before you know it, I was at 50,000 by the end of the month. You know what I'm saying? I was at 100,000 by like in 2 months, like you know what I'm saying. And it just kept going up. Before you know it, my YouTube surpassed my Instagram. You know, my Instagram, my YouTube hit like 1.5 million.
Wow.
In like probably like 8-9 months, like you feel me.
Eben is an extremely gifted comedian and a great entrepreneur and a creator. He has about 4 million followers across his social media platforms, and he is a YouTube rock star. The thing I love about Eben is because he laid the foundation by going through a very trying journey. He went to prison for 6.5 years, and as soon as he was sentenced, he understood, yeah, I messed up big time. But he parlayed that prison sentence into a much greater and deeper focus. And he was able to take his life and the lives of the people he cares most about to an entirely different level. And so, even though he is in the public eye, particularly here in Greater Cleveland. He has fans all over the world. When we did his episode was on fire from the word go, and it still is. So if Eben were to sell his story, it would be even deeper than he's doing now. He most definitely should have a book. He most definitely should have some type of online meetup and even in-person meetup. And he should be not only selling his apparel, because that's what people think is the end all be all, selling your merchandise. He's doing a phenomenal job, but to really truly sell his story, he could be using his story to be able to show people this is how you navigate out of a really bad situation or a situation that seems hopeless. This is how you navigate yourself into functioning on all cylinders with your life. Because with him, it's not just business, it's also the way that he has fortified his home life and has a phenomenal marriage, great relationship, and he's just doing things that uplift people just because he is a great example. Now, him selling his story would be huge because he is already well known enough to where he doesn't really have to work to get people to notice who he is. But for all of us, including them, your story should start on social media, in social media posts, reels, videos, podcasts, and even stories, Instagram stories, Facebook stories. And they should also potentially continue in newsletters and even email courses. There's just so many things you do. Everyone's situation is different. And quite frankly, all of those things are laying the groundwork ultimately for it should continue into a book. So by getting the audience feedback about what parts of your story resonate the most with them, you might be a person that had bad relationships your whole life, and you may be divorced or you just may be bad at love. But you also might be someone who has tackled anxiety for a long time. So you would make posts talking about these things, the relationships and the anxiety and all those things, and there could be some correlation. They could be really tied together. And then with your social media posts, after a while of posting a little bit about this, a little bit about that, then you're going to be able to see what resonates the most with your particular audience. Sell your story. That's why I always encourage people to be transparent about the hard parts of their journey, the parts that suck, the dirty truth, the things that make you nervous to even mention to people. And someone asked me a question recently, what if people try to use and weaponize your story against you when you share too much? And all I say is what Jay-Z said, he gets stoned every day like Jesus did. Okay. So, in other words, no matter what, people are going to criticize what you do. There are people that get criticized for donating to churches or having fundraisers for very worthy causes. So, you may as well just do it because if you can get criticized for anything, you may as well just go and be the person that controls your narrative because it's better for you to tell your story than for someone else to tell your story because you're the only one that's been with you every minute of the entire time you've been around. And so the ultimate would be selling your story in a book, a coaching program, or live appearances. That's what I've done. If you look at some of the books back there that I've written or helped other people write, that has gotten me a lot of clarity and also has elevated my life in a lot of ways. No, it doesn't make my life perfect, and I still have a lot to work on. But that's more of a me problem as opposed to a problem with the whole system of taking your story, using your backstory to really facilitate a level of understanding for people to really want to embrace you because you have embraced them by being relatable. Sell your story.